David, thank you so much for taking the time to talk. You've just given your most open, honest and revealing interview that probably you would have ever done in your life. So first of all, how are you?
I'm all right, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm all right. It's been a really challenging few weeks, and then that obviously led to me doing the interview that's been released. And what that has given me the opportunity to do is provide some context and allow my story and allow me to be seen more as a human than a referee, and that's been really important.
Why now? Why was now the right time for you to open up on so many levels about what's been happening?
A couple of reasons. Firstly, from a personal perspective, I felt it was really important to set the record straight, to say how much I regret my actions. I wanted to take ownership of what I did, and I felt that was a really important thing to do. Ultimately, I said what I said, I did what I did, and I wanted to make sure that that message was there. I wanted to have the opportunity to apologise to those who I offended, and say that I regret a lot of things I did. And then from a second point of view, I want to try and make a difference. I've got a pretty unique opportunity to speak on behalf of the referees that don't have the same opportunities that I've got right now in terms of showing the difficulties of the job. I have the opportunity to talk about how difficult it has been for me personally, and from a self-esteem perspective, from getting to understand myself and understand my sexuality and what that means to me, and what that has meant to me, and the impact that has had on me. And hopefully by doing so, that will give others the opportunity to speak out when and take the opportunities that are there that I didn't, and that I regret not doing now.
What's it like for you being at the centre of a huge tabloid story?
Harder than I can probably express. In the first instances, it was a real shock, and then as things gathered pace in terms of other stories that came to light, it was really hard. In that moment and in those first days, they were really dark, because I felt embarrassed and ashamed at what I've done over the course of time, and yeah, it was really tough. The situation that I found myself in meant that I really had to rely on people's support to get me through. Otherwise, I don't know that I'd be here.
You talk about not being here. What do you mean by that?
In that first week, I had suicidal thoughts, and I didn't get close to acting on those. But at that time, that was really tough, and a lot of people spoke to me and reached out to me on a frequent basis, daily basis, because they were concerned about my welfare, which I was grateful to them for. There are a lot of things that I really regret either doing or saying, and they all came to light in the space of a week or so, when in fact a lot of them were over the course of sort of 4 or 5 years ago. And in my head, I'd put them to bed and I'd put them to one side, and I'd forgotten they even existed. To then find myself facing what they were just reignited some really sort of difficult times and some really tough thoughts.
On November the 11th, the video was released into the public domain with you and a friend. I know you've spoken a lot about that video. One thing that was mentioned was Jurgen Klopp's nationality, and that's one of the criticisms of the video. That's not been addressed yet. Why hasn't it been addressed?
I'm not too sure. If I'm honest, I'm more than happy to address it. And what I did say, and I maintain, is I said things I didn't mean, and that's the adjective of using the country where Jürgen originates it was not something that I meant, and not something that I feel. My grandmother on my mum's side is German, and I really regret everything that I said, but I particularly regret using those words.
You must look back now and think, how did that even happen? How did I allow myself to be recorded in that manner?
Of course, ultimately I've paid a real price for that. I've taken responsibility for that from the very outset, of course. And I understood the seriousness in the first instance immediately as I was made aware of the publication of the video, and to that extent I understood and accepted my fate immediately with the PGMOL as well. So I want to take ownership of my actions. I think that's important. I want to apologise to those who are offended by what I said and were offended, but I want to now try and live my life to the values that are truly me, and to the best of my ability moving forwards. And I want to try and move on from what has been a really difficult time, and hope I'm able to do so.
A number of videos then surfaced after that initial video came out. One of those where you were using substances after a European game. For those people that say your drug use affected your ability to make clear and concise decisions during matches, big matches, what would your response to them be?
I can understand why they may think that way. However, I do want to make it clear that this was really personal for me. It was around my responses to coping with pressure, and it was post-game without any implication on my work. I don't condone it for one instance, of course. I regret taking those actions. I made really poor choices at that time, but it was important for me at that point to escape to somewhere, and there were times when I escaped to a place that was that I really don't want to go back to, and I'm taking lots of steps at the moment to make sure that I don't go back to. Not that it was either frequent particularly or that I was reliant in the moment, but it certainly was a place that I went to on occasions, and really regret doing so.